Okay, so what I'm going to do is type in the word Scott. Oh, and Scott, S-O-T-T. That brings up the teacher that is covering the Gita. So I have Gita lesson number 3 due Saturday, January 11th. So I got a week. Oh, boy. Got Gita lesson number 2 responses. Oh, fui. Gita lessons number 2. Gita lessons number 2. Where's oh shoot, I don't have. Looks like I don't have a Word doc. That's weird. I shouldn't have Word. Guess I'll have to read it out. I like to open it with my Microsoft Word doc. Microsoft Word app. And that way I can have it read it out loud to me. But I can read it right here. Here it is. So I'll just read it for you. So Gita 2025, Lesson 2, December 24, Chapter 1, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, verses 21 through 23. Thank you for you. Oh, I think I read this before. Thank you, everyone, for such responses. It's been a joy working through them. They are all worth reading if you have the time. Thursday is like a diamond having many facets. I spread ideas through the text in hopes you'll come across them. We'll learn from all of us. We'll learn from all of us, from each other. We'll learn from each other. Here are a few ideas of a general nature applying to all of your responses. Choosing unilaterally between good and evil, right and wrong, seems simple enough at first. Yet it does not fully accord with the unitive vision taught by the Bhagavad Gita. Lesson 3 will bring this home. For now, the stage is set. We end the lesson with Arjuna resolved to examine both sides of the battle, which is the very first step in bringing non-dual wisdom into play. Right away, he sees the other side consists of exemplary people, just like his side. He calls into question the simple answers he has been taught before. Spoiler alert, the Gita is not about deciding between right and wrong. It is using their intersecting conflict to expand consciousness and to become all-exclusive. The ground for making distinctions in our actions has to be global, universal. We will be going beyond being on the right side of a war to transcending it entirely. Okay, for that matter, actual war is not the place to practice inaction or to tune out. The Gita's advice is primarily for personal development. It is not political except in the broadest sense. Here, an interesting article on the value of nonviolent activity for social transformation from an analytical perspective might help. So he gives a link. And so I'll skip that link for now. but I like to look at it later. But he goes on, at this stage, some of you are holding to popular beliefs about the Gita, and that will not be of much use in this course. Many of those beliefs directly contradict its teaching. I just perused a new version by an American that a friend of a friend is using to teach a course and found it trivial and unaware of many of the most important threads. Too bad. My commentary is a distillation of powerful teachings of my predecessors, and understanding it will come from simply reading the verses and taking guesses about what they mean. The Narayana Gurukula gurus brought tremendous erudition and full attention to bear for well over a century, and our course means to take full advantage of what they realize. They offer it freely. In most cases, I will not be able to repeat what is already written in the commentary in my personal comments. We will use the written text as a jumping off point, a basis for transformative sharing of relevant ideas. I'm pleased that many of you are already serious, exploring valuable lessons. After this lesson, I'll have more time to devote to the joys of sharing thoughts with you. Happy New Year. Aaron, what a journey. Oh. We are on a battlefield that is clearly meant to be within ourselves, as noted by the fact that both sides are of the same clan. The sides of ourselves. Oh shit. No. What a journey. What about I feel? The sides of ourselves have attributes which I am sure are alluded to by the names of the fighters being listed out on both sides, likely known to those deeply familiar with Sanskrit, and especially those living in the last centuries BC in India, and maybe even through the symbolism of the weapons that are named. Interesting. Yes, the attributes within ourselves from all sides make a confused clang. Note possibly the word confused here instead of confusing is meant to place us in a perspective where the noise is part of us. It is personified. If the battle cries and clashing of weapons were confusing, they would be acting on the warriors. But if the clang itself is confused, then it is an agent of the battle, not just having an impact on its participants. We are the noise. A confused clang. Well, what I would say to that is that the translation I am looking at is by Nataraja Guru. So he he chose to use the word confused clang instead of a confusing clang, or instead of anything else. Maybe the word confused or confusing is not even the right word to choose. I would have to look at the Sanskrit and and learn Sanskrit and be able to know what other synonyms there might be for whatever word was used in Sanskrit. So, but it's interesting that he pointed that out. And what I could do is investigate further, looking up in what verse was the word confused used. The confused clang. Let's say that it's in verse 25 or whatever. I don't know how many verses there are in the first chapter. Maybe there's 40 some. I forget. I think I read through the first chapter already. Yet I remember looking, because I was paying attention to the word confused, and I did see confused clang in there. And it's referring to when, I guess when they were blowing their horns, or making noise with their weapons and stuff. I guess they were making the battle cry. Maybe that confused clang was part of the battle cry. So, to be able to win, you must understand and have empathy for the whole of us. To be able to win, we must understand and have empathy for the whole of us, and not just vanquish the other from the perspective of only one side of ourselves. To understand the fullness of us, we must step outside our normal vantage point from within one aspect of ourselves, maybe even step outside of ourselves, so we can see and know the fullness of our predicament, so that the clamor of each of our aspects reaches us in full and even stereo, if you will. Thus, we must position ourselves in the center of the battle, not fully on one side or another, but to get even to that point of being able to see ourselves in our fullness of fully understanding even the battlefield we are on, in the warriors aspects of us on all sides. We must evoke the Guru to place us there. For going through our normal self, we will end up with vantage from one position to another, and our view will be colored through that veil. I'm confused myself. Let me read it again. To be able to win, we must understand and have empathy for the whole of us, and not look to just vanquish the other from the perspective of only one side of ourselves. To understand the fullness of us, we must step outside our normal vantage point from within one aspect of ourselves, maybe even step outside of ourselves, so we can see and know the fullness of our predicament. So that the clamor of each of our aspects reaches us. Man. To be able to win to be able to win, that's in quotes, we must understand and have empathy for the whole of us, and not look to just vanquish the other from the perspective of only one side of ourselves. To understand the fullness of us, we must step outside our normal vantage point from within one aspect of ourselves. Maybe even step outside of ourselves so we can see and know the fullness of our predicament, so that the clamor of each of our aspects reach us in full and even stereo, if you will. Thus, we must position ourselves in the center of the battle, not fully on one side or another, but to get even to that point of being able to see ourselves in our fullness, or fully understanding even the battlefield we are on and the warriors aspects of us on all sides. We must evoke the Guru to place us there. For going through our normal self, we will end up with a vantage from one position or another, and our view will be colored through that veil. Note, I believe those advanced in the teachings will recognize that while an actual guru can play the role of helping place note, I believe those advanced in the teachings will recognize that while an actual guru can note, I believe those advanced in the teachings will recognize that while you know what? I think my